You know, I tried booting up my digital copy of Mass Effect's Legendary Edition, and I was met with instant disappointment. No, not because of EA, well, that's a whole other story, but because I had no network connection. So, of course, I couldn't run any of the, checks required in order to pass DRM. So, that got me thinking about this whole issue with DRM and a lot of the cons with digital distribution. Let's discuss this. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is AJ. So today we're going to be delving briefly into an issue brought about by the Microsoft Xbox side of things as far as DRM is concerned, and overall the general problem with digital product ownership. So for those of you who don't know, certain components of Xbox Live went down recently, rendering some digital games unplayable until the Xbox Live issues were corrected. Long story short, several players were briefly unable to access the content that they had purchased for a set amount of time. Now, while this doesn't happen often, the few times that it does instills an understandable level of frustration. When it comes to MMO games whose entire existence thrives in the online environment, or games that have online multiplayer modes, the companies behind them devote countless resources in order to keep their services active. But even with all that, there is always a margin of error to consider. Shit happens. And while it's frustrating enough, it's somewhat more understood. But when it comes to single-player games or game modes that aren't dependent on the internet being designed to do so, you're gonna have issues. Now, ever so often, these services will run at DRM checks in order to authenticate whatever software you've purchased. Now, while I understand that these protections are in place to protect the company's financial interests, it does actually begin a journey down a slippery slope that brings software ownership into question. Now, to be completely fair, this is just a sign of the times that we live in. We live in the age of convenience. Most of everything we could possibly need or want, from necessities like groceries or entertainment in the form of streaming, is available at the push of a few buttons. While we're not quite there with cloud gaming, which is another topic I won't get into right now, digital distribution is the direction we seem to be heading towards. While I'll always appreciate having a physical disc or cartridge that I can almost use anytime I want, critical updates and other patches that enhance the content I purchased is really nice. But when it comes to purchasing anything outright, be it a movie or a single-player game, where do we draw the line between enacting measures that protect the company's interest and not negatively affecting the consumer? I do want to note that this seems to be more on the Microsoft side of things, especially with Xbox and their backwards compatibility, because rather than playing the backwards compatible physical discs off of the disc itself, it downloads a digital version of the game with patches and other bits of updates and runs it on an emulator. So unless you set the said Xbox console as your home console, people run into the issue. Now, people actually started running into the issue beyond that. So, again, that's a whole other thing. I'm not so sure about Nintendo. But now, when it comes to PC, as I stated earlier, as soon as I have a network issue, I can't run most of my games. Now, I'm sure it's got more to do with when it comes to specific titles like Mass Effect, EA, and that damn Origin store. But we won't get into that right now. At the end of the day, look, when I buy a product, be it software, digitally or physically, or I buy a console, I would like to be able to use whatever I purchased with my own money at my discretion, not the company's. I mean, I'm hoping that going forward, there is a solution to this problem, but we will see. With that being said, I have droned on long enough. If you guys like the sound of my voice, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell to stay updated. Follow me on Twitter, link is down below, and I will see you around. This is AJ, signing out.